You should have a screen that's full blown welcome to New York State, the Empire
Yes.
State.
Yes.
All right. Well, she did show this map earlier, and I didn't have stars showing where everybody is, but I have stayed with a few travel club members in the great state of New York and certainly enjoy my time there. We was visiting earlier about when you say New York, most people don't realize you're talking about a very rural area for most of the state. And since I consider rural people down home people and my kind of people, I find them very friendly whenever I'm traveling in that state. Thing that you'll find about New York is it has a lot of scenic byways. It has 29 different scenic byways within the state, has 6 just in the Adirondacks alone. And so you can spend a lot of time in the state and see a lot of beautiful country. For those that like to drink wine, it actually has 5 different American viticultural areas within the state. And one of them is out here on Long Island, which isn't showing up in this picture that I've got. But anyway, it's the ones that my wife says we're going to go back and hit more intensely is around the Finger Lake area. Even though we've been up to Buffalo 4 times, I think she missed the Niagara in Cartman there. So. That's lucky for me, but not so much so lucky for her. And I'm going to just be zigzagging across the state. And so if I miss your area, then it's not on purpose, but these are some of the places I've been. We were staying with a lady right here at Virginese, and that was Elizabeth Price. I don't think she's a member anymore. But she was 92 years old, still hosting people, not traveling. She had a 7-bedroom, 6-bath home with a 15-foot porch on 2 sides of the house, and you could throw a rock from her porch into Lake Champlain. And
wow. She
was a great host. She is hosting 3 of us, 3 different couples the same weekend. And anyway, it was very good, and we enjoyed that much. And so first place I'm going to show is, if you don't know that I like waterfalls, then you just got to realize I'm from the desert of Texas, and I really like waterfalls. And the Oswald Chasm has a very impressive one. And over here is a plant that if you work your way around to it, you can get a better picture up the waterfall. And it's very beautiful in the fall when the colors change. And if you go the other direction on the Oswald Canyon, you can see that there's a lot of erosion that shows up in the rocks from the water moving through there, but it's very, very beautiful. And there's a bridge that I'm standing on that I can shoot pictures both directions. And it's very, very nice area. Then when you come down to cross over, there's a Crown Point Bridge, and I'll show it in the background, but this is about the most unique lighthouse I've ever seen. And if you like unique lighthouses, I'm only going to show 3 lighthouses. And this one, it doesn't matter where you go to, this one is the most unique. Crown Point Highway's in the back, and that's a little bit calmer water in that picture. But you can get up close and personal with this one. This statue here, just recognizing the efforts of the people that established the area, and all of that on that lighthouse, and worth a stop on your way through. As you're going over from there over to Lake Placid, you'll be going through a valley, the Keene Valley. And if you catch it in the fall, it's just gorgeous. And you can just spend some time there, going up to Lake Placid. It's hard to believe it's been 50 years, getting close to it, since we've had the Olympics there. And the state of New York is putting a lot of money in upgrading the Lake Placid area, trying to get people to come and visit there. Not to get on ski jumping in the summer, wouldn't recommend it, but those are some pretty impressive ski jumps. You can get on the gondolas and take a ride and go up to where the ski jumps are. And it's a interesting place. What I show on the next slide is the longest coaster in the U.S. It's over 7,000 feet run. It's 1.4 miles long. Right now, the cost is $55, and it takes 40 seconds. So in less than a minute, you can make $55. I mean, if you was running on the other end, that's pretty good return for the money. And beautiful country in the fall of the year. Lake Placid itself is a beautiful community. They have several resorts. I just put one of the more beautiful ones up, the Gilded Age one. And if you want to spend some time there, I'm sure it costs out the pocketbook. So it's a good way to lose weight too, is just spend a little money. I made it over to Split Rock Falls, and this one, I like the falls. I don't have the sound in this one. I try to eliminate those because it makes the PowerPoints pretty big too. But where she mentioned a while ago, the Adirondack Museum, now they call it the Adirondack Adventure. But if you're not familiar with this is a state park. It's not a national park. 2.6 million acres of it is owned by the state of New York. 3.4 million acres of it's by residents or by individuals. And so it's an interesting park because of the mix of people living in the park as well as lots kept for wildlife. And the museum is not something that you hurry through. When you go to this museum, they told me, oh, I could make it in 3-4 hours. Laney and I left after 6 and we still weren't through. And it was lots of things to think about. I saw this one and I just loved it because I was going, now that shows you some innovative ways to use wood to make a cabin. They don't all have to be tacky, but anyway, that's a good looking cabin.
That's beautiful.
And you can go and learn how they use different devices to pull loads of lumber up the mountain and get them where they get to the shipping point. And it's a good one. Now, for the winter time, somebody mentioned that's why they're in the South. That's definitely why I'm in the South. But one of the ways they kill time there is whittling. And I mean, if you look at these little bitty miniatures, there's a lot of work in these. They got roll top desks that actually roll. They got all sorts of very detailed work. I was impressed with that. This display, if you really get into looking at it, where you carve balls inside of square blocks of wood, one piece, or chains or links, I don't care who you are, that's pretty impressive work. And they also usually have somebody on site building a canoe, and it just shows you the way to pass the winter time for sure, and make something beautiful in the process. Their museum is very good to go through, shows some of the original armory and guns that was used to settle that portion of the country. Then we're going to drop down just a little bit to Gore Mountain, just show you another area. I can't tell you how many opportunities you can have to catch pictures because of the elevation changes and things that occur in a state. But you can pick these up and go, like now where I'm at, I'm at elevation about 1,000 feet higher than most. And when I leave here, it'll be green when I get back down, and it'll be another month to a month and a half before it even starts turning color when I get home. And so it's a beautiful place to be. I'm bouncing over to another area of mine that I really enjoyed visiting, and this is Thousand Island, New York. If you haven't been there, you can go to the Thousand Island International Bridge and just get a perspective of looking across there. Somebody went to the trouble of counting all the islands. There's 1,884 of them. And to count as an island, it had to have one tree growing on it. And some people even cut the tree down. But Uncle Sam's Boat Tour is an opportunity to go for a 90-minute tour. It costs you $30, and they'll drop you off at the boat castle. And I love the boat castle. It's just great. This one's one of the favorite stories. Over here is a beautiful, beautiful home. And here is the mother-in-law's house. And they said that it's specifically built for her because she is a sleepwalker. So I figured she could get out into the water in a hurry, and it'd be cool enough to wake you up. That's the Thousand Island International Bridge, and it's quite large. I took a picture of this one. A lot of people know Walmart, and the fortune there was split up between the different sisters and the family. And this is the one that the daughter built, and it's about a $25 million home, and it's got a pretty impressive yacht sitting out there. But the thing that you don't see is where's the electricity, and they actually lay line underwater to these islands to deliver electricity. And because of the situation you have there, you collect your sewage, and then this little boat comes around called a honey wagon and empties your sewage deals and carries it off for you. So a little different. Boat Island was a love story. It was built by a man for his love, his wife. He actually had stone carvers chisel the island into the shape of a heart. And then they built a home that has over 100 rooms in it. And it's just a beautiful place. The grounds are magnificent, but right before he and his wife moved into it, they were living in this area, and the workers was back here working, and she died, I think, a month before they were through. And he was so heartbroken, he just walked away from it. And so for 70 years, this thing just deteriorated due to vandals and the weather, and it got really rough. And now it's back part of the, belongs to the state of New York. And every year, these tremendous woodsmen come in and use their trade, and they work on one floor at a time of this 6-story castle. And when we were there, they was on the 3rd floor. They should be up to about the 4th floor now. And the woodwork is magnificent. And they have a lot of young men and women come in and learn the art. And it's just gorgeous place. The woodwork is just phenomenal. That's all the way through here. All right, now you was talking about the waterfall a while ago, close to Syracuse, and this is one of those if we had that much water running anywhere around where I live, we would probably be pumping water and irrigating farmland. But this is just flowing down the river. It's just an amazing amount of water, and just outside of Syracuse. And I spent about 4 days in Syracuse. It's a very nice town. I wouldn't say it's a big town. It's got small town atmosphere. And we enjoyed the sights and sounds of Syracuse and moved on, went over to Rochester and spent a time there. But on the way over, of course, I had to find another waterfall. And this one's the Salmon River waterfall. And New York is blessed with hundreds of waterfalls. So I haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg, but there are several there. Rochester was a surprise to me because I went to see high falls in the town of Rochester. But they also have a deal called the Aerosol Nation, and they have some of the doggonedest art on the sides of the building, spray art, that I've ever seen. Frederick Douglass's home in Rochester. I'm not even doing justice. There's many different murals across the town that's just put on by spray paint. This one, I love the statement here. It says, "Power always consumes the one that seeks it." And anyway, I was like, that is very interesting sign. And I thought that's pretty funny, the character there dumping the rock out of his shoe. And that's a very large mural, to say the least. And we got a couple more, and it's just a town you can spend a lot of time looking at the murals that they have around town.
And what was it that you actually went there to look for? I didn't understand the word you said.
High Falls, which is another waterfall. In town. In town, yes. And it was okay, but the other was quite impressive. Now, what I'm showing here, I can move this X around this area, and it's one of the major apple producing areas of the state there. Appleton's about right there. And to give you an idea how big the industry is, it's New York's ranked number 2 behind Washington. It produces 1.4 billion pounds of apples a year, worth $262 million. And I loved it because I was stopping at the fruit stands and buying apples to eat. And the thing that's different about apple production today is they don't do it by trees. They put them on trestle systems. And so they'll go through these things and make it where sunlight penetrates all the way to the ground. And so that winds up making larger apples, more apples. And they can change species, the varieties of apples quicker. Where like if you had planted an orchard of trees, you'd basically have to bulldoze down the trees, be 4 or 5 years getting back going again, and then be in production for a while. Where if like Fuji apples or Gala or honeydew falls out of preference by the people, they can switch over and plant a different variety. So it's quite interesting to go to. For Buffalo, I'm getting over to Niagara Falls. Buffalo's down here. I'm up here for Niagara Falls. I've never been to Niagara on the lake over on the Canadian side, and it's still on my to-do list, and I will eventually get there. But I'm actually on Goat Island between the American Falls and I call it the Canadian Horseshoe. And I can shoot both falls both ways and take some beautiful pictures. And you can see this bridge, you can actually walk from the US side to the Canadian side. And all I will tell you is be sure to take change with you if you want to come back, because the machine wasn't taking credit cards when I was there. And so it sort of threw me for a loop because I luckily had enough change to get back. Now, they have a nice night show, And this is under white lights, which I prefer to red and blue and all the others that they show. But it's just the power of Niagara. There's no waterfall I've ever been to quite like it. And there's your daylight view of the Canadian Horseshoe. And it's a place I've been several times. If you want to go, I'm sort of missing the Maid of the Mist here, but it's a way to go get up close and personal with it. I think it's another picture. You can get on the Maid of the Mist, go over to the Horseshoe, and you will get wet. There is no question about it. Or you can walk under the falls and definitely get wet there too. But it's a good place to go spend a little bit of time. The power of it's just awesome. The amount of water going over. When you're on the Canadian side, this picture you can capture by renting you a motel room on the waterfall side and just shoot down on it and get a nice picture like that. Or if you want to stand right by the water, this is almost reachable, almost touchable on the Canadian side. So if you was wanting to die quick, you could jump the fence and be in the bottom really fast.
You know, the colors in that are just lovely. Well, just soothing.
It's that way, and the roar is intense.
Did you hear that from your hotel room?
No, it's totally blocked out. It was absolutely quiet, which made it sort of weird. But, yeah, and so we looked. It really enjoyed that. We did stay with somebody in Buffalo, and there are travel club members, like I said, around available. This one's just another waterfall. There's Akron Falls, and close to Buffalo itself. I keep switching my deal around so I can chase my ex. I'm down here, and you have to really get close. I'm at Silver Creek, and I will tell you that's a good place to visit if you like grape juice. And we went into the center there, learned all sorts of things about Welch's grape juice and the origin of it. And we were there when the grapes were like this. And you talk about attractive to flies and bees, and you can smell these things for miles. I mean, it's just a beautiful odor if you like that odor. If you don't, you'd just be looking for a place to leave. And you go into the Grape Discovery Center, have you a slush, have you a drink of cold grape juice, learn more about it. It's a great place to visit. And find out a little bit about the history of the grape juice and how it was used, particularly in churches for their recognitions when they want to use something besides wine. Now I'm going to drop down to the Alleghenies. If you want to hit a colorful spot, this is a good one in the fall. You can catch some real colors. They have a covered bridge there. That's the one that you put in on the deal, this Thomas L. Kelly covered bridge, and just some real beauty. We just don't get some of these colors in Texas. Orange and red is just short. Only place I know you can go to it is the Lost Maples State Park, and that's about it. Otherwise, we have to come up to the northeast to see what these colors are. They do have a stone tower there that's only a couple stories tall that you can get a little better perspective view as you walk around on the upper part of it. Then we come into Letchworth State Park, and this has 3 really beautiful waterfalls. And you have the High Falls, which is another picture of it. You got the Middle Falls, and then you have the Lower Falls. Now, each of you can pick what you like. I like Middle Falls. I like a lot of height, and So when Mary's showing some that's dropping hundreds of feet, that would be my kind of deal. All right, somebody is asking if I was getting close to Watkin Glen. Well, I'm up at Hector in this picture. Hector has a fall itself, and it sort of stair steps down. And sometimes I probably refer to it as a cascade. Other people said, no, there's some drop there. So either way, it's still pretty. And then Watkin Glen is absolutely gorgeous. And I don't care what season of the year you go, it's worth a stop. And this is a little red house on the lake there. And then we'll get into the park, and it's just got some beautiful places, and catching it in the spring, summer, fall, even in the wintertime. You're not going to catch me there in winter, but it's even beautiful in the wintertime. And just the flow and just the indentions in the rocks, it just makes for a beautiful deal there. Don't forget to go to Corning, and you might be impressed with their clock tower. I was more impressed with the Corning Museum of Glass, and you go in for the glass blowing, but it doesn't stop there. I've been to lots of places blows glass, but I've not been to too many that makes beads and the other makes stained glass. And yeah, they're not in my house. That's a little outside my pocketbook range, but certainly beautiful, beautiful colors. Several that's on here are from that area I was just showing, and they could probably fill in more detail, but it's a gorgeous place. I went to a very, very tall waterfall, and I'll just let you look at the name of it here in a second. But right here at Ithaca is Cornell University, and inside a campus, when you go from campus housing over to where they do some of the lectures, they have a beautiful bridge that's going across a deep cavern. I mean, it's a deep chasm and moving lots of water. And this is on campus. And I was like, wow, I was impressed. And it's the land grant university for the state of New York, and that's very beautiful. You can go to the Sage Chapel there on campus, and it's another beautiful stop that they recommend that you see the colors and everything that's in it. All right, I don't know how you pronounce that, but I'll let you come. Yes.
Go back to that route, the church again, the chapel.
Sage Chapel.
Can you go back one slide?
I did.
You see in the back left, so look at the ceiling. Are those dollar signs up in the ceiling, or is that a?
I see what you're saying, but it's actually some abbreviation.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks like SDU or something like that. All right.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, I see what you're saying.
They're actually being honest.
Yeah. And this is a 425-foot waterfall. And I'm actually at a place I drove up, parked, and we're having a picnic lunch looking at this.
Oh, goodness.
So for those of you that can't get in and hike, put this one on your deal, because you don't even have to hike to this one. It's right there by the roadside. Carpenter Falls, I forgot to point out where I was, but anyway, just slightly north of Fillmore Glen State Park is Carpenter Falls. If you get tired of waterfalls, just close your eyes, because I have like the Buttermilk Falls and a couple of others, and it's beautiful in the summer, spring, fall, and we'll just move right on down And this particular Robert Truman State Park, I'm sitting here, my lettering's blocked out a little bit. They at least put you in some steps to go look around the state park. You have some beautiful waterfalls there, infield or lower falls, whichever name you want to use for that one. This one is just a little one that's there, but the next one, if you look over to the far left, you see rock steps on the right side, and this is Lucifer Falls on the left side, all within that same state park, and all a beautiful place to go visit. Heading on down the road and bouncing over to an area I was just wanting to make a point. In our area, we have pumpkin patches, but they take pumpkin patches to a new level. They are usually in the top 6 states for pumpkin production. Sometimes they're number 3 in pumpkin production. I think it's Indiana was number 1. Illinois, okay, is number 1 in pumpkin production, primarily for the canning of pie, pumpkin pie. But lots of pumpkin, but we do not make pumpkin displays quite like this. You know, this is the most unique pumpkin patch I'd ever been to. And whether it was Dorothy and the soldiers, or whether you were going with Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, each one of these, I just found the scenes very interesting to go with a very nice pumpkin patch. If you go to Cooperstown, if you like baseball, the National Baseball Hall of Fame is there. And there's the outside of the building. Inside, you can find any of your heroes that made it into the induction. You can find your uniforms. You can find signed baseballs. You can just live the dream. Me, I'm over here looking at the mascots. I don't know. Everybody has a different preference of things that they like, but to me, they made a new ball game when they started putting mascots in there. And they do liven up some of the boring time periods on the field. This one, we bounced across over to the state, another waterfall, the Bash Bish. And like I said, New York's just blessed with them. Catskill Mountains has one waterfall after another. I just picked out a couple of them, and you can look for yourself at the kind of waterfalls that you can catch there, several hundred feet of fall at those particular deals. Come out of there. This is, I can't say the name of the state park at the top. I apologize. Sorry about that. Y'all can probably read it. All I see is a whole bunch of people's names up there, but you can actually stand on that point and look straight down for more than a couple of hundred feet. And if that's your thing for adrenaline rush, there's your point to go. That's just a different view. Looks quite innocent there, but you can go and get the old heartbeat up and going. Another beautiful, yes.
I think Gail had her hand raised. Maybe she knew how to pronounce that waterfall for you.
Okay.
You have to unmute yourself.
I didn't mean to have my hand up, but was that Minawaska or something, Minawaska? Or this one, Verketer? Verketer. Verketer. I don't know. Oh.
No, nobody's going to correct you for sure.
Minnewaska right. State Park.
Sounds good. And,
thanks, Gail.
Didn't mean to have my hand up.
And, okay.
And then just one of the other large falls that's there. I'm going to eventually get through doing that and move to another one. If you like presidential libraries, my wife and I are on like number six or seven. I've found them absolutely worth every stop we've ever been to. When we was in Boston, we went to the JFK, and when we was out in California, we went to Ronald Reagan's, and I've been to both Bushes in Texas, and been to up to the one in Kansas for Eisenhower. They're just they're worth the stop. This is the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Museum, and he's the longest serving president in the U.S. His history, he went through the tough times of the Depressions, and so many programs was established in that time period that he was president that still has impact today. The work by the WPA and the CCC boys is still relevant all over this country. If you ever go to Canyon, Texas, go to Paladera Canyon, the road down from the top to the bottom is built by that group in that time period. And so they had their impact. I thought this was a cute setup with Franklin and Eleanor, and I've seen them put kids in between the two of them. It looks like they're just being grandparents. I've seen them set over here to the right side and get some very good pictures there of Franklin and Eleanor. Now on your way down, I'm not doing New York City on purpose because that's a whole deal in itself. And
so Lanny answered Stan and Sanders' question about how did you find all the waterfalls? And Lanny said internet searches and fellow travel club members.
Right.
Yeah. Would you agree with that?
That's absolutely correct. And there's actually some websites totally dedicated to waterfalls.
Okay.
And once you find it and bookmark it, you can go back there and reference each state that you're wanting to go see.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't know that I'm bouncing forward because everybody still looks frozen.
Yeah, we're still on Eleanor's page.
Can I make a quick comment?
Yes, Dan.
Billy,
Yes.
Have you been to Iguazu Falls?
In South America.
I have not. No.
Oh, that one is incredible.
It's not one, it's 400.
No, it's actually 120 large falls.
All with rainbows.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's on my to-do list, and I've got another site in Peru I'd like to see also, but hadn't been to either one. I may have to kick off of this and come back in if you don't mind.
Okay. All right.
I mean, this baby is totally hung up.
Okay.
Right.
Well, while Billy goes off, I'm going to say that as far as finding things, Mary wrote in that the National Geographic has little guides for different regions of the country that show the scenic routes and what to see on each one. That's interesting. Good to know.
I use those a lot for travel planning in the U.S.
Okay.
I use those all the time. Yeah. They're very good. You can order them from National Geographic.
Oh, okay.
Probably Amazon as well. I don't know.
So they're not online. They're not digital.
No. They're real books that you hold in your hands.
Okay.
They've been around for a while, but many of these places that Billy's been to, I found in these books that just maps out where to go and where to stop. They're just great. Like, the New England or Southern states or whatever, they're like 12 or so of them.
Okay. Well, I do know that my parents lived in South Carolina for probably 10 years.
I can't get it shut down.
we would go hunting for waterfalls. That was one of our activities. And someone in their community had written several, they were paper spiral books, but they were printed. And they had all these waterfalls in the area. And I mean, within maybe 50 or 100 miles from where they were. And it would say, you go through this person's property and you go to a rock and you turn left and then and it was quite a resource. And I had checked around and they were in the local libraries. So that's something too, if you're going to be in an area for a while. I don't think this person was unique and as far as I think other people in waterfall areas have done the same thing. So
one other area is Western North Carolina has about 200 waterfalls around the Brevard area. And I had seen an article in the travel section of our Dallas newspaper about that before I went there, and I kind of made a note of ones that were accessible. So I saw a bunch of them on a trip, one trip.
Oh, what fun.
Just for looking for waterfalls too.
Yeah, there is something about waterfalls, I have to say.
Yeah. I've got a bunch of those pictures too.
Oh, good. we could have like the dueling waterfall slideshows.
Well, I'd suggest the supplemental New York. For the pictures that I have a few that Billy has, but I pretty much have all different pictures than he does.
Oh, what fun!
So, but a lot of the same places or same areas, but not necessarily what he has.
Well, that's cool. I think we definitely need to follow up with that.
Just for fun, since we're in the mood for New York State. I've always said we just put a fence around it and call it a national park. I just love upstate New York. Been there several times.
I'm making a note. Different pictures.
Quickly take a look back here. If you enlarge my picture or pin it, you'll see this is a ski hill. We were just up a couple of days ago up north. This is a ski hill, which you can see between the runs. It's all gorgeous, autumn colors.
Yes.
Then, just secondly, if I look at this one, here is a picture of Sandra and our friend. Look at the colors of those trees. We were just walking around the lake.
Was this recently?
Yep, just a couple of days ago.
Oh, how nice. Wow.
And one more. I'm just putting them as backgrounds just so that you could see them. Again, this is looking at the lake. You can sort of see the water. And colors across the lake and reflected in the water. Gorgeous.
It is. Goodness.
Anyway,
yeah, everything
on our drive,
Texas.
on our drive up north and south, through the Laurentians, I could hardly drive. It was so gorgeous.
Wow. Yeah, I drove through a handful of falling leaves and felt like, wow, fall is here. That was great. Thank you. I'm going to go back to gallery view. Speaker view made your pictures really big.
Oh, good.
It is distorting. Your background is doing very odd things.
Yes.
So now that you're little, it doesn't matter so much. Well, it doesn't look like Billy's come back yet. Oh, there's Lanny. Can you unmute? I guess they're figuring it out.
Probably a couple minutes. It's getting there.
Okay.
He had to do a hard reboot.
Okay.
So it was spinning.
It definitely
And
happened.
again, you will see two. We were up at,
How many when you're there?
but tell you what, let me get rid of my background.
It's kind of funky.
Okay.
Okay. We made these ourselves in the Corning Glassworks.
Really?
They're not easy to do, but you know, you pick your colors, you pick, you know, the kind of thing you want, and amazing.
So how much did you pay for that?
I shouldn't tell you, but we didn't pay anything because we're media. We were there on a media conference. So anybody who wanted to do it could do it.
So it's not like it was one of those places you could go and be in a little class.
It actually is. You can, the place, Billy showed a picture of somebody doing it.
Yes.
Probably a glass worker, but you can actually, there are classes, you know, where you get half a dozen people and they're all doing them.
Right.
It does cost something, but I don't know what it costs.
Well, those are beautiful. So you actually have the long tube that you blew through?
You actually blow it.
Huh?
And you use a little thing, you know, to bend the ends around.
Okay. Billy's back. There you are. Are we ready, or do you want us to keep chatting a little bit? So, well, so actually we heard from Barbara Pittsfield, and she said that she lived in New York State for 38 years. Her husband, or the two of them, were members of the Adirondack Mountain Club, and our two daughters, who were in elementary school age, went backpacking with us in the Adirondacks. We would also help clean the trails. Glad you showed Watkins Glen, one of her favorite areas, Barbara Mahoney. Okay, nice. Thank you for typing that in, Barbara. Okay. Are we ready? Okay, you're muted, Billy.
Yes, I just need you to enable me to share my screen.
Oh, that's right, because you were out. Okay. Okay.
All right. So anyway, I was lost there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. All right. So I left that and dropped down here to New Jersey on purpose. I'm not going into New York City because Lanny will do that some other time. And it's a slide set by itself. But over in New Jersey is the Empty Sky Memorial from the 9/11, and also the Teardrop Memorial. This one was donated by Russia for the 9/11 memorial, and both worth making a point to go in and seeing. I only had a few things to say about Long Island. It's quite a long island, to say the least. I made that comment earlier from the standpoint is it's 150 miles long, and as far as land acreage, it's bigger than the 12 other states. And so why they didn't go for statehood, I have no idea, because they are plenty large in size. And on the farthest point to the east is the Montauk, I hope I said that right, Point Lighthouse. And in between where I showed as a start and this is one other lighthouse, and there is shoreline and shoreline that has condominium, shorelines that has very few residents on it. There's isolated areas. It's quite a unique world. Has its own wine growing area, and it's just a climate set up for the production of those particular grapes. And I threw in one of the gardens that's there. This is the old Westbury Gardens, and hey, I wouldn't turn this one down. It's pretty nice, and gives you a place to raise you some water lilies and enjoy those. Our push for San Angelo is we have an international water lily display in San Angelo, and you can catch water lilies blooming 4 or 5 months out of the year, and very, very lovely. And
is this a home you tour through? Is that a home you tour through?
You can tour through it, yes. And and this is just to make a point. That's how close we were to through a while ago. There's numerous places in New York that you can just go and sit on the side of the lake, enjoy the fall colors changing, and watch the sun go down. And it's just a gorgeous state. There, like Mary said, she's got just about as many slides of New York and hardly even have to crisscross anything I did, because it's just a phenomenal state to go visit. And that's the end of my story.
Well, before you leave, let's see, Mary had typed in the chat, did you see the Gadsby House, I guess, on Long Island?
No, I did not, but it's a big chunk of territory there for that island. So no, I haven't seen it. And you can travel that whole a big chunk of it just by leaving Penn Station in Manhattan and going by rail to Long Island. So I think we actually have travel club members out on Long Island, or they may not be members. Okay.
Yeah, one is closer to New York City and the other is quite a ways out. Both on the north west side of Long Island. Yeah. So the people that are closer to New York City haven't been responding lately. So I don't know and they don't have a cell phone. And the landline is like disconnected, but sometimes when people leave for a while, and with COVID and stuff, maybe they've gone to visit family and just to, anyway, trying to track it down.
Well, I thank everybody for their patience. I'm in the computer absolutely locked up and no real reason. So a hard boot takes a long time to recover from.
Not a problem at all. I do have a couple more questions, and we'll do the recipe another time. So you had mentioned that one of those fall waterfalls, you all were having a picnic lunch and looking at this 400-foot drop. Did you have to hike into most of the pictures you took?
Yes. Yeah.
And
some I seldom hike into anything that's stronger than a medium. And as I get older, I don't even do that. And so I can tell you, out of all the ones that I really appreciate, Minnesota, the way they do their waterfalls, so many of them along the shoreline there are handicap accessible. It's really nice to be able to do that and just be able to wheel the baby carriage up there or the wheelchair self, take it, and it's just better for those that it's a little more challenging than it used to be to get around.
Sure. Sure. Well, also it didn't look like there were many people in any of your pictures. Did you have to wait for them to move, or did you just catch them at uncrowded times?
Well, my usual, yeah, if you've seen my wife online, and sometimes she purposely blocks out people to keep them from walking into my camera while I'm videoing and taking pictures. And I mean, she had never wrestled anybody to the ground, but it is amazing how people can walk right over you. And so,
There's also a program in Photoshop.
yeah. So,
Okay. Well, that clarifies a lot. Kudos, Lanny.
yeah.
The other thing is, with all these waterfalls, can people swim in them?
Some of them, yes. Some of them, no. So every one of them, I'll tell you, you better have your head screwed on straight, because you can get hurt in a heartbeat. And I've got one instance over here. It's only a 35-foot fall, but it is a fall to rocks. And we had a 40-year-old that died because he leaned over too far, lost a step, and went crashing to the rocks below.
Oh.
And it can happen in just the blink of an eye. I was up at one in Maine, and a load full of college kids, probably 14 of them, come up in a van. And I mean, it's fenced off. And one of them got this wild idea that he was going to step over that fence and go get close to the water so he could get his friends to take a selfie of him, or take a photo of him. And the second he hit the other side of that fence, the algae was so slick, he went sliding off into the water. And he luckily didn't go off the falls, but he was plenty wet on a very cold day.
Those fences are there for a reason.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Billy, thank you. Again, you know, I kept looking at these pictures thinking, I should make a screensaver from all your pictures, just a slideshow screensaver. You know, you can do that and just have them play through, because they were beautiful, really beautiful. And thank you again for having your map and showing all the places. And remember, everybody, that we have a lot of Evergreen members sprinkled through there that would love to be hosting and tell you their secret waterfall places that you might not have heard about before. So I'll do our official thank you and good night, and we'll keep the line open for a little bit. But Billy, thank you so much. That was just wonderful. And I will get together with Mary to see about a follow-up. That could be really kind of fun to have another. What?
Show our New York State pictures, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.